Ladies and gentlemen, I am Melvin Banks.
This is Ito.
And we are the Carbonation Conversation, reviewing Archive 81, Season 1, Episode 2.
Wellspring.
How'd you like that commercial? But before we get started, as always, shout out to Mo Beats 89. If you are liking the music in the background, the music that we have for this season going on, definitely give Mo a shout out. Mo Beats 89 in the description below for audio editing, music production, and all of that jazz. How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
All right. Good shit, good shit. So we're finishing up the cooler here. And we just decided to stick our hand in the cooler and get some mystery beers today. And I bust out, oh, how I love these IPAs.
Right.
Do I have the Krampus? No, the Alpha Claws. And you have?
Zombie Dust.
Zombie Dust. Okay. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, happy new beer.
Both the beers are made from Three Floyds Brewery.
Strong as hell. Mine has definitely like a coffee. I remember we did talk about these again, but I do want to go, I guess, try to go into a little bit more detail and be kind of a connoisseur here. But yeah, mine has like a little coffee, chocolatey. It almost reminds me of Guinness to a certain degree, but Guinness is way more smoother and delicious than this. But yeah.
Yeah, this bit. And then Zombie Dust is very hoppy.
Very happy. Okay. All right, for sure. Gonna take another sip of Happy New Beer.
Si, senor.
And as always, a shout out to pretty much everybody in the world now. We're gaining a little bit of traction. We really, really appreciate it. Definitely, no matter what platform you're using, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Facebook, I think we're even on Pandora, TuneIn, we're everywhere. I think you can even tell Alexa to play the Carbonation Conversation these days. Definitely don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Definitely look for us on Facebook. The more you like and subscribe, and especially if you really like what you're listening to, others will see. It's just how the algorithm is. And yeah, let's start about Wellspring. So we do get this as soon as I pressed play, I thought something happened with my TV. I was like, please don't tell me Netflix is really doing. I was like, commercials.
So I was advertising.
Yeah, and I was just like, really? Did I make a mistake and go to TV and I'm watching Ancestry? But no. This is actually one of LMG's companies, and it's called Wellspring. Pretty much like Ancestry.com, saying, hey, we'll find you, you know, all that good stuff. Oh, yeah, we forgot to take the shot.
Shot it out, but not too shot.
Exactly. And I do want to talk a quick second, because we didn't mention anything about it, at least I don't remember episode 1. The goddamn beginning, man. Like the beginning credits and just how it's dark. I even think I see an alien in the silhouette, like the head is. I was just like, wow, this is some freaky ass shit.
Yeah,
like
that head. Well, it was in this episode where he saw the face or the last. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just incredible. I was just like, man, what such an eerie beginning. But we come back and Dan is still freaking out. He's trying to get a hold of Mark.
Right.
And he finally gets a hold of Mark, and he's telling him about, Melanie, his father, and he's just, again, he's freaking out.
Freaking out, right. How the hell is my dad in this video?
Yeah, and
I'm the one that cleaned this video. Like, this cannot be just a coincidence.
Exactly. And Mark is just like, well, isn't your father a teacher? And he was like, yeah, but my father was a psychologist also for New York. And so he assumes that Melanie was possibly a patient of his. He asked Mark to go to his aunt's house that's gone away for vacation. It's funny how that always seems to happen in these type of things.
Right.
And basically, she left a key underneath someplace, and to go in there to see if his dad had any files.
Record of Melody.
Yeah. And then after that scene, we do have Jess and Melody. They're kind of, talking. Melody's kind of doing her runs. I mean, not Melody, but Jess is pretty much doing her runs. Kind of, providing,
groceries.
Groceries and all of that stuff.
Who's running errands?
Yeah, and is this the scene where they meet the
fortune teller?
Yeah. Oh no, not the fortune teller. But is this where they're in the store and they meet the father? The father who?
Oh yeah.
That was just a little awkward.
Yeah.
And Melanie also finds the only other.
Yeah, there was something that seemed like a little off about the priest, right?
Exactly. And before they cash out, Melody noticed a movie that she used to watch as a child, and I wrote the movie down. I'll look at it in my notes a little bit later. It's a rat movie. Rat movie cartoon that I actually remember. I think it's called The Secret of Nim. And she finds it because she talks a little bit about her childhood about that. And they go on their merry way back to the apartment, and they meet Mrs. Wall. Because Jess is like, here, I got your stuff. And then she introduces Melanie to Mrs. Wall, and she asks, she's like, hey, would you be interested in an interview? And Mrs. Wall just gives her just like the most uncomfortable, awkward hug. It was like
this is the second time she met her, right?
No, she's never met this one.
Was that the redhead or the older one? I mean,
yeah, that was the older lady.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I thought the first night they met, she just gave her the cold shoulder.
Oh, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Okay.
So
this is the episode. Okay, yeah, this is the episode.
She talked to her or hugged her or whatever.
And it was weird. And the only thing is, obviously, we saw in the first episode, Melanie is kind of getting sick from like the music that she's hearing and shit like that. And when you saw her kind of go
same tune,
yeah,
something about that tune.
And when you saw Miss Wall go left to right, like she was kissing her cheek to cheek, but she didn't. You saw this kind of eerie, kind of uneasy, maybe nauseous look on Melanie's face as she walked to the tarot card reader, Miss, I think her name is Beatrice. And she apparently she has to be psychic, because even before Jess explained who Melanie was, she was just like, oh, you're here to interview the tenants. Come in, let me do a reading for you, which was really cool. Because I do tarot cards, and I was interested how they were going to go with this. I was interested in the cards that they were going to put, and if they were actually going to bullshit or not. Yeah. And they were actually pretty current. She asked Beatrice how long she's been here. Beatrice says she used to be living with a friend, but the friend ran away with the guy.
Exactly.
And basically she's been living there now. She makes a little joke. She kept the fish. She's keeping the fish alive and shit like that. But she does mention some shit about a sex club.
Yeah, because she's like, hey, do you hear those sounds out of the vents? And she tells, oh, that's the secret sex club. Like, what?
Yeah, and it's funny because obviously we know there have been sounds, coming from these vents, but that's what she thinks it is. And it's interesting that she mentions that she does Melody's reading. The first card that pops up, I had to pause. I had to literally pause because I wanted to see what cards they were. She did a past, present tarot card reading. The first card that was drawn was Three of Swords, and she talked about, I believe it was heartache or something lost. Then the second card was the Hermit, held the light, and basically she was saying, something hidden that you're looking for, and that was when Melanie started to talk about Julia Bennett.
Exactly.
About an historian whose last known address
was the Visser.
Yeah, was the Visser.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when you find out that this is apparently her real reason for being there.
Exactly. And
so it's like there was about 3 times already. I'm like, bitch, get the fuck out of there.
Exactly.
Like,
and not only that, Dan too. Because not to mention, Dan is in the beginning when he's talking to Mark. Mark asks like, well, if you don't stay, you will never find out what's going on. And I'm
it's
just
freaky,
like,
but it's like, my dad's involved. I gotta know. It's like you almost have to.
Yeah, this is that, man. That is a hard choice. And it's so funny. I guessed the third car automatically.
Of course.
I was like,
I did too, and I don't do too.
I know, right? I was just like, watch. And obviously, she flipped death, which obviously isn't death. It's just, it means pretty much new beginnings, but people take it very, very literally when they see this card, and as did Melody.
Was it the reverse? Wasn't it the reverse?
That is interesting because I've often given you readings too, and the fact that you said that and I didn't even notice that is hilarious. I have no idea.
I think when they showed it was from a certain angle.
Yeah,
and it looked straight, but I think it was actually the reverse.
Yeah, so if it was reversed, it could mean something coming to an end.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I said that.
Yeah. Hey, exactly. And it's ominous after that, and then Beatrice does suggest, after hearing all this information that Melody did give her, she says there used to be a tenant who was here way before even I got here, some shit like that.
Floor, right?
Yeah, stayed on the fourth floor.
And that mailbox is
always full.
You never know.
Happy New Beer. And as Melanie is going down trying to be a thief now.
Right? That's a felony.
Basically, she gets caught, and we're introduced to a new character that basically has the penthouse suite, according to Melody, right. Samuel. And he invites her to what I can only assume was Tamara's, the other neighbor who's sound for the opera, her show.
Performance, right.
And so she says yes. It's a little awkward. He's trying to spit some game, his best game lines, but she agrees, and she ends up going. Now, I believe this is the part where I have to flip over my notes.
Right. Yeah, but she goes up to get ready, and she has a voicemail from Dan's father. And it kind of irritated her.
Yes.
Like, why is he calling me? Basically, he's just calling, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Type of thing. But it annoyed her. So it's something about that, you know what I mean?
And that is when also, obviously Dan is watching this.
Yes.
And he then again goes out into the woods. I'm assuming trying to get reception because he ends up going on the ladder up on the roof. He leaves Mark a message.
He's trying to get Omar and a Virgil.
Exactly. And that, I would say that customer service rep, wow. Very avoiding, basically avoiding the questions and everything. Is your mental state okay?
Yeah.
Shit like that. And
I just want to fucking talk to myself.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell?
And he ends up basically, as he's leaving Mark a message, basically just saying, hey, I really do think I basically kind of confirmed that Melanie was a patient. He basically tells him, he does mention not to put on his podcast, and then he goes back. Weirdly enough, he finds the rat in his drawer that he was taking care of, and that was so weird. I was like, what, is the family now invading the house? That's why I was a little bit confused, but it was the same rat. And the only reason I mentioned that movie was because it was the same. He actually found the copy of that same movie at the house. And he ends up watching it, falls asleep, has a very, very interesting dream. He's walking down a hall. He's hearing a lot of it honestly sounds like weird sex. That to me, that's what it sounded like. I was like,
I feel like it's that same sound that she's hearing through the vents.
Yes.
And then he sees his father. So he's like, what the hell? He starts following the father, and he leads him to a door. When he opens the door, sees Melody. Then he wakes up.
And so he's kind of trying to figure out really what the fuck is going on. And so Melanie goes to the show. She takes her whole camera and everything. And at first she's talking to Tamara, and she says, Samuel, invited me. Tamara just kind of looks at her, gives her a laugh, and just, kind of just laughs in her face. And that just kind of had me going like, oh, this guy's a playboy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Type of thing. And she orders a drink. They sit down, they watch the show, and the same thing that happens in the apartment when Tamara first plays the music happens again.
Starts having some kind of panic
attack, seizure, uneasy feeling, nauseousness, whatever it is, she's having it. And she steps away. Samuel goes with her. They start to, hit it off for all intents and purposes.
They end up just going to a bar. And then she asked him about the secret sex club.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's a teacher in Colombia. He is a Renaissance and medieval teacher, which I thought was very interesting.
Right.
And then he is actually the one who brings up the Visser Historical Society.
Exactly.
He says he's actually talked to him. He's like, oh, these guys are great, the 5 years running, type of thing. And he's also just like, hey, maybe I can get you connected to him. And here's the thing. I'm assuming they're letting us believe that they were having a great conversation, because he even just out of nowhere brings up Julia Bennett, because he goes, yeah, and what's that historian, Julia Bennett? He seemed a little bit uneasy when he was saying it, so I was like, did he just bring that up out of nowhere? Because she did kind of give him a look, but then she was ecstatic. Mm-hmm. Or was she already talking about it and we just didn't see that because it was just a bar conversation? We were already supposed to assume it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, I didn't hear it, so to me, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like something like that you should hear. Like, it would make a point of. Then you hear her ask him about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's a sly motherfucker, I will say, Sammy, because I ain't never did this to a female when I was dating. After you leave the bar, he's like, oh, red or white? And I'm like, what? Right. She like, what? And he goes, oh, for the nightcap.
For the nightcap, yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's why did I not think of this move? Like, oh yeah, let's go back to your house. Let's keep the party going, exactly, apparently. Right? Happy new beer. I was like, okay. And she says, whiskey. And he's like, giggity, giggity. All right.
Oh. I was like, that's my type of girl right there.
Man. Goes upstairs and Lord behold, oh no, before she goes up, she meets Jess.
Yes, Jess says basically some lady came looking for you, knocking on all the doors, and she came asking for, so I let her into your room. It was like, first of all, why are you letting someone in my room that you don't know who the hell it is? Mm-hmm. Even though they're asking for me. Like,
yeah.
But turns out it was Abigail.
Yep, it's funny. I didn't really actually look at the actress name. I thought it was Annabelle. Thank God you said it. I know. I was like, now I'm gonna have to look at them. But maybe I was like, yeah, it is Annabelle. It is Annabelle. Cool. Yeah. One of us, we were fucking close. Damn it. But yeah, Annabelle is kind of just ruining everything for her. Basically, Samuel ends up just calling it a night. He does. Annabelle definitely asked for that bottle though.
Yeah, exactly. And turned out Annabelle was the one that had Dan's father call.
Yes,
as well.
And that's when we confirmed that it basically he is her therapist. Right. And I do want to also mention, I guess it should be important. I don't know, maybe it'll come up later. Melody's Melody's mother did die 2 years ago. She was a documentary filmmaker. Just want to throw that out there. I think that was in the conversation at the bar that she had with Sam, if I am not mistaken.
Well, I think we forgot to mention earlier was one of the times Dan went out to the woods that he saw somebody. When he was on the ladder too, and he was chasing them, and that was when he had to dream that the person in the red jacket was his dad. Right. And also that even reminds me again, because Sam does talk specifically in the bar about the 1920s Dutch cult, some shit like that. Yeah. He mentions that shit, and it's just interesting, especially towards the ending, what happens at, because we're about to get there, because Samuel's already left and she's talking to Annabelle about this. It's just he's a history buff. Yeah, real quick, we forgot also, well, before when he left to get the whiskey, he gave her a skeleton key for the mailbox.
Oh yeah.
So she went over there, opened mailbox,
and the mailbox was done.
And that's when Jess came up.
That is so true. Okay, yeah, some good shit. We're just catching up here.
Of course.
Yeah. I feel like that. With all that information, we deserve a shot. As I am about to pour some shots, she's literally talking to Annabelle. She's a little bit frustrated with her, but Annabelle is just like, I'm lonely, I want to stay here with you type of shit. Right. And basically, they go to sleep. Yes. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now.
And then Dan we go back to Dan. He's see the mess caused by the rat. New mess caused by the rat. Goes to the pantry to get some cleaning material. Then notices that the
pantry wall is kind of hollow,
like hollow and like fresh.
And at this point, I'm like, oh, it'll be so cool if he like trips something and it moves. No.
Nah, he just goes get the wrench and starts breaking the wall.
I was shocked. I was completely shocked that he did that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, damn.
What the fuck?
Only thing I say is like maybe he's already kind of like feeling a certain way, suspects, you know, and just because the fact his dad was in that video, like he's got to feel something. Like this is not a coincidence. There's something going on here.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I could see him doing that.
And one thing that is interesting though, wasn't that the same hall in his dream? I feel like that was almost similar when at first he was walking down the hall.
I thought it was just the hall from the Visser.
I don't fucking know, but yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, holy shit, is that the same hall? But it ends up leading him down to an underground church. And as he is...
Well, I mean, a part of the church, basically, that's where Wellsprings was.
Yes. Because, shout out. Damn, these were huge. And as he's looking around, out of fucking nowhere, like Lex Luthor, Virgil is like, "You're not supposed to be down here."
And how quickly that's like, that tells you like he's got to be close if he got there that fast.
Yes, because I was like, I did think that maybe because he contacted security, maybe he was just on his way. But that is a great point that you do mention.
Yeah.
And he tells them that he proceeds to tell him a few things. He talks about Wellspring. He says the government wanted to abuse my creation because I was ahead of the curve doing this ancestry shit first. And I did not want them to do that, so I shut the whole fucking thing down. Now, it's so interesting that he shut it down, but he still got all them fucking files.
Yes, but files and videotapes.
And like, that's, I was like,
You know, and then, I don't know if you thought like I did, the whole fact that he having that kind of company. And then the fact that he has his Dan videotapes of his father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of makes me think.
Yeah, that is true. And then he even tells this weird story about him in debate class, debating that Jesus, it was a good thing that he died, because if he was alive.
His family, this is what he said, his family's generosity was nominal, and they debated the merits of Christianity and took the stance that Jesus was a demon.
I would really like a little bit more explanation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting here trying to talk to myself like, okay, so if maybe Jesus survived, everybody would be too happy and there would be maybe no evolution because we just be all happy, and I don't like
or
that
what,
is
not all demons are bad or something like that. Like
that is insane.
It is, right.
And then he jokes though. He's like, yeah, but it was just a debate. I was just it was weird.
Like, I don't know about this guy.
Then Dan confronts him about his father. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, you knew this was a fucking setup. You know what I'm saying? You knew exactly what you're doing. And although Virgil doesn't really say it was a setup, he says he knew a few things, and he actually gives him a file. Yeah. He does. I think he gives him two things. I forget what he gives him. It was like it almost looked like a picture or something. He was like, yeah, I did know possibly that your dad may be involved with Melody, but he was like, but I do think that the police, he was like, but I looked at the police investigation. They basically think that your dad started the fire, even though it was officially a no contest. Right. He also says that there was a complaint against his father. Yeah. And basically, I'm assuming his father resigned.
Yeah.
Or was about to resign. Like or they made.
He said he had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, and basically they withdrew like the investigation because of the whole fire, and basically they died. Right. And so that was interesting. And I will say this about Dan, because I think it was in a phone call, the first phone call in the beginning of the show, when Mark clearly asked him, do you think your dad had anything to do with Melanie? And he first says, like any person on any show, and maybe even in real life, would say no. But then he takes another second and says maybe. I love that. You know what I mean? Because we got so many characters and motherfuckers in real life like, no, my dad, my husband, my kid could never do that.
Exactly.
They did it. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciated, his honesty when it came to that. And basically, Virgil ends up telling him, like, hey, if you don't want to do this anymore because of the emotion, I understand
he's so invested already.
And he's just like, but I need this done on a timely manner, my dude. And if you can speed this shit up, there is a bonus. So he already getting paid $100,000 here. Like, oh, okay. So, Dan is going to continue working. He does another video, and this is where Melanie wakes up in the middle of the night because she's hearing hums.
Yeah, hearing the sound again from the vents.
Am I the only one that even if I were to go outside my fucking apartment and follow the noise, can you turn on a fucking light? What is up with that shit? I mean, come on now. Like, literally, jeez. I mean, she is walking through the dark down floors, and she comes across, I would say, a pretty terrifying scene.
I'm assuming she don't turn the lights on because she's trying to sneak. She's trying to find what
okay.
But I mean, who would be sneaking anyway in the first place?
Man, I'd be like, I hear a noise, I'm like, lights on. Who that? Lights on again. Who that? Make yourself known. Show yourself. And I will say, if I came across this, I would be freaked the fuck out. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be running up, probably falling, running up, trying to get the fuck up back in my apartment and shit, closing the door. Wait, he know. Be like, whoa.
What the fuck I just saw?
I know, right? And what she sees is, and one thing I will say about this show is I sometimes can't tell the difference between the music that she's hearing and the music that we're hearing in the background. So at first, I was like, is that the music? I was like, okay. And she's going down, and then she sees what seems to be every tenant, maybe except Beatrix. Humming. They're sitting down humming towards a statue, and the statue, it looked like a fucking Buddha statue far away from me, like the little, what I'm saying? It did, obviously. It
had that head.
Yeah, I am assuming it is not, because Buddha, he's a cool dude. He wouldn't condone this type of behavior. They're humming, and they're humming in a tone, and not only that, they're is it panting? It's like, and they're doing it in sync. And some are in sync and some are off.
Like chanting.
It's extremely weird. And then they stop and then they get up and they look like they turn to each other like it was a great sermon. They're like, "Hey, well done. It was a great time.
That's what she hides.
And then she's hiding. And I was looking for the regular scary movie trope: somebody turning and catching her and her running upstairs. No, didn't happen. Nope. She was even able to go there and take a look
she went to the where the statue was. Kept inside of a case. And there was a symbol on the case. The symbol was outside of the building as well.
Okay, I didn't even, my TV darkness. I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all.
I didn't see it there. I heard it on another review.
Oh, okay. Hey, we need. Yeah, man.
I get details.
Yeah, exactly. Good shit, man. Good shit. Because I totally didn't see it. And then she hears Samuel and Tamara, and she hides behind something, and they have what I can only describe as the weirdest sex ever. Was that sex?
Yeah, it was sex.
Okay, because I did see his zipper zip up at the end, but it was it's like DMX. It's like
after that chanting and shit.
I know, it's like a DMX song.
Animalistic.
R.I.P. DMX. Right. R.I.P. I was like, what the fuck is that? And obviously they go about their business. Melanie runs upstairs. She tells Annabelle, shout out. shout out. She heard the story. She listened to it clearly, and she thought for 5 seconds, and she was like, "We need to get the fuck out of here." Happy New Beer, man. And then that is when we are revealed the truth. Why Melody refuses to leave the building. Apparently, Melody's mom, who's been taking care of her, I'm assuming since she can't remember, and who died 2 years ago, is not her biological mother. Exactly. Apparently, she did a wellspring, I am only assuming a wellspring ancestry, and she has tracked it down to Julia Bennett. Now, what I don't know is Julia Bennett supposed to be her mother, or is so Julia Bennett is supposed to be her mother, because on the postcard that she had, it does say Julia Bennett clearly said that she didn't want nothing to do with the child. I don't,
it says more later on.
Yeah, and I'm assuming even I don't know how old her mom was, but you could see that. You're young, you're pregnant, you didn't really want to have the kid, but you didn't really want to get an abortion. You gave the kid the way you wouldn't want nothing to do with it.
Or there could be other reasons.
Oh, Jesus. Dun, dun, dun. But
then there's a knock at the door. And when she opens the door, nothing's there.
No one's there.
And Dan's like, wait a minute. Was that when I knocked on the door in the drink? Ooh.
You motherfucker. I never even caught that.
Yeah.
I never even caught that.
He knocked on the door that followed the dead. He followed that to the door, knocked, opened, saw her. He disappeared. He woke up. That was supposed to be the same thing.
Oh. Freaky. Holy, there's some time-space continuum shit going on. Oh, okay. And then, during the conversation with Dan and Virgil, I will want to say one last thing. 2 things that Virgil did tell him. Virgil tells him that as they're walking out, he says, "Me and you are a lot alike, Dan. We like to make puzzles." And I was like, that's an interesting comment. And then he says, and by the way, there's a town 15 miles away, and there's a bike if you want to kind of get out. And I was just like, oh, he knows what the fuck he's doing, because obviously you're going to go there.
Of course.
And what does Dan do? He goes there and he meets Mark. And Mark and him are starting to have a little conversation. And the conversation is along the lines of Dan noticing that the humming and the melody recorded sounded a lot like what his sister was playing. And I honestly didn't write the word that he basically gave Mark to research, but he definitely thinks the word and the melody has something to do with the Visser Historic Society. Yes. And then we are giving 2 spicy things. The first thing is Dan finds out that his father records all his meetings, and he gives him the tapes of his father and Melody. Yes. And I am like, oh my God, I want to know. I want to know what happened. And then he says, maybe you can ask her yourself. And he is like, say what? Melody's alive. Apparently she is alive. I think in New York, I think he said. I don't know.
I forgot where he said.
Yeah, and so he's like, after you're done with this, or, I'm assuming maybe he means by phone, Google, you can contact Melody. And I was like, holy fucking shit. Yep. I love this. Now, are we done with episode 2?
Yeah,
I gotta ask.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So, we have an announcement to make for the Carbonation Conversation. One of our very good friends from Quinn Cakes by George, his name is George will be joining us on either the episode 3 or episode 4 review. We will specifically be reviewing either episode 3 or 4 March 17th. The reason is because we are in March, and it is St. Patty's Day. Our guy does baking goods, cakes. He also does some phenomenal bread, by the way. And he's going to come here, review it with us, and we're going to hold a contest. Now, the contest is, unfortunately, for Illinois residents only. I do have to make that very, very specific. Yep. But the rules are as follows. Go on Facebook and search Quinn Cakes by George. Once you find the post that he made regarding the contest and the carbonation conversation, you share that post, comment on that post, and like our carbonation conversation page.
Yeah, the instructions are on his post as well.
Exactly. Once you do all those things, you will be entered into a free contest to win 8 delicious Irish themed cupcakes.
The cupcakes are very delicious.
And flat out amazing. And we will actually hold the raffle, the review of either episode 3 or 4. Won't be live, but he will definitely, maybe he'll actually tune in live on his Facebook page. Maybe that's how we'll do it. Or maybe he'll just upload it at that segment of the review. We ain't figuring it out right now, basically. But definitely check out Quinn Cakes by George. Once again, like the Carbonation Conversation page, share the Quinn Cakes page, and comment on the Quinn Cakes post, and you will be entered into the Carbonation Conversation / Quinn Cakes by George giveaway. God damn, that's a mouthful. Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Melvin Banks.
This is Ito.
We are the Carbonation Conversation. Thank you for listening.
We
will
love
see you soon.
Ooh, I said it first.
I know, right? I was about to say the fucking Archive 81 Wellspring, but whatever. Peace.
We love you.